Hello and welcome to Division I Rejects. For those of you who have not been around, this is sports talk from guys that did not make the cut. And for those of you who have been around, welcome to the new studio. Fellas, I'm excited to be in this one.
Yep.
That's where you step in, Ty.
Hell damn. I'm excited
we got Tyshawn King with us today. Ty, what's up, bro?
Best back in the country.
Best back in the country, Tyshawn King. That's how I'm going to introduce you from now on.
Yeah.
And we got little Manzo, Cade Manzo with us. Cade.
I don't got all those
guest.
titles, but,
Yeah.
I'm in the cut.
The boys are in the new studio today. Kobe Manzo, I'm your host. And today, fellas, we've got a great episode ahead of us. We've got a guest today that has one of the best stories I think that we've had on the podcast. That's Jake Huber. We'll talk to him very soon here. He went out of high school, went from winning a state championship in high school to being the equipment manager at the University of Illinois and actually worked his way to a spot on the team. He's in the quarterback room over there. So super excited to talk to Jake here real soon. But other than that, we've got some big NFL news. We have not actually had the chance to talk about Dwayne Haskins, the unfortunate death of Dwayne Haskins down in Florida. Rest in peace to him. He died at 24 years old.
Sickening.
Tragic.
It's absolutely unreal to me. And you just hate to hear that from anybody. But we'll touch on that. And moving forward in the NFL, a story that's been circulating about Tom Brady potentially leaving the Bucs for the Dolphins after he retired and trying to be an owner, help the front office, and also play for Miami. We'll talk about that story. So
Such cap
on all of it.
All of it. What's he going to do? Manage a team, play quarterback, be the coach, and fill the water bottles too?
He might inflate the balls too.
Yeah, he might do that.
Yeah, he's going to deflate.
Finally, though, in the NFL, the Colts just signed Stephon Gilmore to a 2-year deal, the former Pro Bowl corner from New England and I guess Carolina most recently, right?
You know, he just made a Pro Bowl?
What's that?
He just made the Pro Bowl this past season.
That's what I'm saying. And it doesn't feel like he
The
should
year
have.
before that too.
I did not know that.
Even though his stats haven't been crazy, but.
Oh, you mean you're talking about his
like
depoy?
This past
His
season,
depoy?
he just...
Like Defensive Player of the Year? Or?
No.
Okay.
This past
like
season,
the Panthers
with
year.
Carolina, yeah, he
Yeah,
made.
okay.
I did not know that.
Only played 8 games with Carolina as well. So that's an interesting story there. Big piece for Indianapolis. Finally, though, we're going to talk about some USFL, today, guys. You know I like my USFL. Game week is here. The game starts probably today as you're watching this. We're recording this on Friday night. It'll be posted on Saturday. So game day is today. The USFL is bringing a lot of new stuff to the game broadcast. They're going to have FPV drones flying around the games, multiple sky cams, and helmet cams for both teams. I don't know how they're planning on pulling all this off.
Yeah, that's a lot of... There's going to be a lot of
It's
technical difficulties.
Ifs. It's a lot of ifs.
Not only that, they will have 16 players mic'd up in every single game.
Oh, wow.
16 players.
How do you have that much
that's too
video
much.
crew to do that?
You know what it is, and we'll talk about it later, but I think it's because they're only hosting this in one city. It's Birmingham, Alabama. So
Yeah, shout out my boy Highlight Higgy.
Everything is there. Shout out your boy. But it's going to be interesting for the USFL. We'll talk about them a bit. But as always, you can listen pretty much anywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Follow us on Twitter at D1_Rejects and on Instagram at Division I Rejects. And finally, check us out on YouTube. We got the video version of the podcast going. Tell your friends. Tell your brothers, your sisters, your auntie, Ty, right? Tell everybody, bro.
Shout out my auntie. Shout out Granny. Shout out my mama. Shout out my sister, even though she ain't call me back yesterday.
Damn. You honor for that. But thank you all for tuning in, and let's go right to that interview with Jake Huber. Joining us now is a quarterback at the University of Illinois, but he actually started out as an equipment manager for the Illini. This guy's made some national news in the past month or so, and he's proven himself at the highest level. It's Jake Huber. Jake, what is going on, brother? Super excited to have you on the podcast today.
What's going on, man? Pleasure.
And Jake, I saw, snooping through your Instagram bio, or not the Instagram bio, sorry, the Illinois player profile. July 4th birthday, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's a fun one.
Hey, I got the same birthday, brother. I'm 2 years older, but we got the same birthday. I was looking at that. I thought that was hilarious.
That's sweet, dude.
I know spending it up in here, Marquette here has been awesome, but I'm sure you've had some good birthdays as well. But small talk and all that aside, tell me about your story, man. You balled out in high school, you won a state championship, but what was the mindset like for you looking at recruiting and playing in college? Obviously, coming out of college, you might have not had the offers that you wanted. You may have not been visiting the places that you thought you might end up because you're a guy that had such a high level of success at the high school level. What was your mindset like looking into colleges and playing at the next level, and how did you end up working at U of I?
Yeah, so, I don't really personally like talking about myself a lot, so it might not be the best, but high school was good. It was successful. I started for 3 years. So freshman year, actually, I was sharing reps as quarterback. Sophomore year, I started varsity after 3 games of JV. Then started junior year, won a state championship. Senior year, I think we would have won again, but we had a COVID season, so we only played 6 games. And then when the pandemic hit, that was the spring of my junior year, so right after we won the state championship. And I was getting coaches reaching out to me, DMing me, emailing me, getting letters. I was like, okay, this is cool. And once COVID hit, all these guys are getting another year of eligibility. Coaches are, not reaching out to players anymore, especially guys like my age. It's like, hey, we don't need guys coming in because we have guys staying another year. So it's like, okay, well now what do I do? Because I had, it seemed like I had a lot of interest from the schools, and now I'm nowhere. And so, I had good interest from Platteville, a Division III school, really good college football. Obviously, any level, it's still football, and that was always a place I wanted to go. But I knew in college, since I had no offers, no stars, nothing like that. So, but I always knew I wanted to play football, and I always knew since I was a kid that my last football game, I didn't want it to be played in high school. I always wanted to be playing college, and so for me, having no offers, it really just came down to education. I knew I wanted to be an engineering major, and there's a lot of good engineering schools in the Midwest, Purdue, Illinois, so Ohio State. So I applied to a few schools and kind of just checked out the football. Obviously, Aiden O'Connell's at Purdue, and I've trained with him, and that's not really ideal for me. But I looked at Illinois. Okay, I saw Brandon Peters. He's gonna be gone after that year, and it seemed like, okay, it's a good school. I like it, and honestly, it really just came down to the deadline when I had to choose college, what school I wanted to go to, and I kind of just flipped the coin and was like, all right, I'll go to Illinois, and I'll have a roommate, my buddy from high school. I was like, it's worked out perfect. So once I got there, I talked to my high school coach. Hey, do you know anyone from the Illinois staff? Yeah, I know a guy. He coached high school football. I'll give you his email. So I started emailing him, seeing, okay, is there anything I can do? Is there any way that I can get a tryout? Is there any way I can get a workout? Is there any way, he said, we're not doing walk-ons. Like, we got these 6-year players who got an extra year of eligibility. We don't need anyone right now. So it's like, okay, is there any way I can be a part of the team in this fall and see if there's any opportunity in the spring? I said, yeah, I'll get you with our equipment manager guy. Reach out to him. As soon as I got on campus, I emailed him and I applied for the job. Met him. He's like, okay, we'll give you the job. So I started working there, but at that time I was still emailing the coaches, DMing them, leaving papers at their doors, just seeing if they give me an opportunity. Obviously in the fall they're really just focused on each week and preparing for the game. So I didn't really try and bug them a whole lot, just because they're focused on winning football games. They're not focused on getting a kid to walk on. So I waited until the season ended, and I was originally going to talk to Tony Peterson, who was a quarterback coach and OC in the fall, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll talk to you. Come find me after the season." And so I was waiting to find him, and he got let go. So I was like, "Okay, well, who do I talk to now?" And so I come back from winter break, and it's winter workouts, so it's just workouts. I'm there as equipment manager, just doing laundry, stuff like that, and every day I just go in. Obviously, coaches are out like recruiting. It's big recruiting time. Just talking to players and going to their houses, stuff like that, which was all news to me. I've never been through that stuff. Obviously, I wasn't recruited a lot in high school, but I would just leave letters at Coach Bielema's door. Hey, I just would like an opportunity to play. just looking for an opportunity. It's just a tryout, to workout, whatever it is. I just want one opportunity because I'll lose sleep if I never got a chance. And so one day I did that, and I was walking out, and I walked past Coach Lonnie, the new offensive coordinator. It's like one of his first days there. I was like, Coach Lonnie's like, yeah. And I gave him the whole rundown. Hey, I'm Jacob Huber, my manager. I'm studying engineering, but I really want to play football. Is there any way I can get an opportunity? I've been trying to talk to Coach Bielema because he goes, yeah, that's awesome. He liked my story. Said I'll run it by him. So about a week or two after that, they're just doing a workout, and I was snapping the balls, whatever, for a walkthrough as a manager. Practice ends, and coach, coach brings up all the players. Everyone's on a knee in front of him, and he goes, what did he say? It was a pretty cool moment. He's like, introducing the new staff, like new trainer and stuff like that. He goes, and your new teammate, and brought me in front of everybody. Everyone got hyped. And it was really cool. It was like one of those things you see on like Twitter or whatever. And my knees were shaking. I've never been like, but from that day on, I never looked back. I was like, this is the one opportunity I've been waiting for my entire life. I was really thankful, but as soon as I was in that meeting room, like 15 minutes after we had a team meeting, I was like, I'm ready to go. Like, this is my chance. I finally got it. So.
And not to cut you off, but talk about that and going out there, making the opportunity for yourself, right? That's the most important part about that for me is that you obviously didn't wait around, right? You didn't wait around to see if something was going to shake because at that level, it just doesn't. And you know that now, you've been there, but dropping the letters under the coach's doors, constantly I love it, dude. I love it. I think that's so awesome. I think it's what you have to do though, in order to separate yourself like that. And the story, at least that I heard, was that you were getting walk-on wide receivers to go out and throw routes before practice, and that maybe it could have been playing a game of telephone. You hear it from one person, gets a little bit jarbled as you go along. But is there any truth to that about grabbing guys and throwing before practice, and maybe showing the coaches that you had an arm to you?
Yeah, I mean that part's really cool. That part's showing the players. So like I knew one guy. I would text him, hey, what are you doing this weekend? You want to catch balls for me? And he'd bring a couple guys, and every weekend for a few weeks, we just, they just run routes to me. Like, all right, you run whatever you guys run for practice, and I'll just throw to you guys. Okay. And so we did that. I don't know if coach ever saw me or coach ever asked them or how that happened, but one of the players, Isaiah Williams, said he thought that Coach Bielema probably saw us one day. Up in the little video, in the indoor, they got a little balcony for the video crew. He thinks Coach saw us there one day, but I don't know. I mean, but that is true. I did throw to those guys. They did help me out. So.
That's awesome, man. I figure, maybe that's not exactly how it played out, but something along those lines. Like you said, it seriously sounds like it's out of a movie, right? Like someone wrote this up to be that way, and I can only imagine what that felt like. Like, obviously you see the guys, the PWOs and the walk-ons in general that get these scholarship offers. We see those videos all the time on Twitter. But I have to imagine that situation of even just getting that spot on the team to begin with had to have been eerily similar, because a lot of those guys had been around you and know that the work that you put into that in order to get to that place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really did feel like it was out of a movie. Watching Rudy growing up, it's like stuff like that. Like I mean, that stuff just doesn't get old. I built a few good relationships with those guys when it was cool. That they're supportive of me and they hugged me. And, so happy for you, man. Like it was really nice. I felt like I was already part of the family.
Yeah, and that's the most important part, I think, is that you feel like you belong immediately. You're in there with those guys. Now, we've got a former NMU quarterback over there, RJ, or I guess by his government name, Ryan Johnson. But he's, from what I've heard, running with the twos, getting a couple of cracks at it here. And that QB room right now, you talked about it a little bit with Brandon Peters leaving. There's a big hole open right there. And I would imagine that Sikowski is the guy taking the ones reps right now. But what does that quarterback room look like right now heading into the fall?
So actually, Art is coming off surgery, so he's in rehab right now. So he's not taking any reps. There's a transfer from Syracuse, but the one spot really is up in the air at this point. Ryan Johnson and Tommy are doing really well. So, I have no answers for you. The coaches don't have any answers for the media or anything. So, you know,
Sorry, I totally get that. I was definitely not grilling you for who's going to be the guy under center come fall. But what is your relationship been like with those guys in that room, and how has that changed going from your previous role obviously to being another one of the guys in that room every day, breaking down film, being out at practice, going through those reads, and I guess more specifically, coming out of high school, it's not like you went to a Division II school and made the jump. You went right out of high school to seeing looks from a Division I defense at one of the highest levels and one of the best conferences in the country. What has that been like for you, just in practice and being in that room with those talented quarterbacks?
yeah, I mean, at first it was like when I was with them all the time, it's like, wow, I watch you guys on TV, but once you get to know them, it's just a normal friendship relationship. But definitely going to high school defense, to not it wasn't a big high school, it was, average size. It was pretty small actually, but those kids aren't Division I athletes, and some of them were, but majority of them aren't. And to go to a Division I defense, it's very eye opening. And for me, it's definitely the hardest thing that I got to get used to. I'm still not used to it. I've thrown my fair share of interceptions. But it's just a part of the process, and it's all about learning, watching film. But there's really good athletes out there, and it's like I said, it's eye opening. Like it's a lot different than what I'm used to. So, but it's good.
I totally believe that, man. Going from making that jump, you would be insane to not go to that level and make some type of mistake here or there. But Cade, you've got something?
Yeah, Jacob, it's Cade here. I just want to say, first of all, one heck of a story. Like Kobe said, it's one of those things you see every now and then from a big time college, a guy getting a scholarship or getting a spot in the team. I just want to say that's super awesome for you, and I'm super excited for you. But now that you've got there and you kind of got this opportunity, when you're back in the pocket, do you feel comfortable? You feel like you should be there, like this is your spot, and you don't feel out of pocket?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I haven't personally gotten different, but getting out there, once you get in the flow of things, at the end of the day, it's football, and you train as hard as you can, and you do as much as you can, walk through, going through plays in your room, just looking at your notes and stuff like that. I mean, it's really just reacting, and like I said, it's it's football at the end of the day, and obviously it's just bigger guys coming at you, trying to take your head off, but it's just part of the game and something that you get used to. So.
Totally, dude. Those guys are they're pretty big ones. We actually played. I don't know if you guys remember from Ferris State. They had that transfer defensive end that was from Illinois because Drake was boys with them. I don't know if you remember that. He was number 9 maybe coming off the edge. Ty, do you remember what I'm talking about?
I ain't play against Ferris.
That's true. You didn't make the trip either, did you?
No.
My bad.
He was huge.
He was a big boy. He was good. So we've kind of seen what you're getting at there. But my last thing for you, Jacob, is just talk about a little bit about Throw It Deep. You're an alum from there. Obviously, you've trained with those guys for a while. I saw they had posted about you and your hard work ethic to get to that level. What can you say about training with them and how it prepared you to go play at the next level in college?
Yeah. So this fall I'll be there. That'll be my 5th year being there. So I've been there for a while. When I was younger, like freshman year, I was kind of just forced by my dad to go. Like I really didn't enjoy going. Honestly, I didn't like football as much as I do now, and it was just kind of like, do I have to go to this? But, once I started getting better, seeing progress in myself, and okay, I kind of like this whole thing. I want to keep going, and I started going just about every weekend for God knows how long, the last 4 years, I guess. And when you train with guys like I said, also NFL guys, other Division I guys, you're around coaches that they don't give you the right information, and they're not gonna baby you. They're not gonna make you feel good. They want you to be the best. So being around guys like that the last 4 years, I've made some of my best friends there, and it's really just a special environment. Like it's personally, obviously I'm biased, but I think it's the best in the country and the best coaches in the country. I'm very thankful for that. Very hour away from my house, and it's unreal. But You know, it really does develop you into a good quarterback.
I believe it, dude. And shout out to Jimmy Martin, our guy. I know to people who do watch the episodes, he was not able to make it tonight. And I'll tell you, Jimmy is sitting at home right now. He went home for Easter, and he is pissed that he could not be on here with you, brother. But, Jake, that's all I've got for you today, man. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you hopping on here. It's been great to have you on, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime. I really appreciate this. You know, it's good stuff.
All right, Jacob, I'll see you, brother. Thank you once again. And Jacob Huber, guys, the man. I'll see you, brother. Man, that was sweet with Jake. Seriously, it felt like some story that somebody wrote up somewhere that those things do not happen very often. Like, I would really like to hear of the last time something like that has happened. I really feel like that's a really rare occurrence, and I was super happy to have him on.
Hell yeah. Illinois, they be giving out shots, though.
They do.
RJ didn't, just transfer, to, straight to the football team. Like, he went up there, they gave him a workout.
Really?
And he impressed, and they let
He didn't have anything guaranteed when he went there initially?
Nope. He just graduated. He graduated from here, and he just chose Illinois as a grad school, but he wanted to keep playing ball. So, shout out Illinois.
Yeah, that's sweet, man. Like I said, that's giving someone a shot like that. Hopefully he earns his keep over there. I got no doubt about it. Seems like he got the good work ethic. Could you imagine being the head coach every day, just like little letter under your door every day?
And you got to get tired of it, but you got to respect it.
Right? Like, who the hell is this Huber kid?
Yeah, at one point he's gonna be like, all right, let me just go get this out of the way.
Yeah, like, let me at least talk to this kid, figure out if he's decent or not, if he even is worth the conversation. I'd like to think he actually walked by one of those workouts one day and was like, yeah, he got an arm on him.
Yeah.
He got an arm on him.
We got a kid like that here.
Yeah.
He didn't work out like that, though.
What's that?
My boy, you know him. You love him.
Oh.
Cameraman from the Bronx.
The boy.
The boy. Good Lord. But moving over to some NFL conversation, fellas. Dwayne Haskins, he unfortunately died at 24. The current Pittsburgh Steeler was in South Florida, was walking across a highway when he got struck by a dump truck, and he was dead on the scene. Like, that, seriously, that broke so many hearts, but it broke the internet that day. And it was like, it's such a weird day to be on any type of social media because you're so often reminded of a tragedy like that, and rightfully so. People should just have open discourse about a conversation like that, but just open your phone every time throughout the day and just to be constantly reminded how soon that his life was taken from him was absolutely terrible. What was your initial reaction to that?
The first thing I saw was like, I didn't see everybody, or the first thing I saw was everybody like mad at Adam Schefter.
That's the first tweet I saw about the whole thing.
And I'm like, what? Why is everybody mad at Adam Schefter? And then you see what he said, and it was just like, what he said about him was just terrible. Like, something that didn't matter at that point. We talking about somebody's life being taken away from them, and you talking about up and down starting in the NFL, and then like you hear NFL Hall of Famer Gil Brandt talking about maybe he should have stayed in school another year. It was always something
absolutely
with him.
Awful.
Like, when you just hear stuff like that, when somebody's life just got taken from them, it's just terrible.
He's
On
in the
top
Hall
of
of Fame,
him
isn't he?
already, in the Hall of Fame. On top of him already losing his life, you have people talking down on him after he's passed the same morning. Like, it was the same morning.
Not even hours after he's passed. And that's what I wanted to bring up today, is because, we can mourn the loss of a great player that he was, a standout at Ohio State, like Adam Schefter called him. But then he went on to say this, Dwayne Haskins, quote, Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning, and went to go on to talk about the death. And that sentence right there, before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, was absolutely unnecessary and uncalled for, and he obviously realized this rather soon, but not before it had over 20,000 retweets, quote tweets rather, and over 8,000 retweets, over 40,000 likes. This was up, not like it was up for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
This was up for a majority of the day before he was finally forced to take it down. He then deleted that tweet and replaced it with Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State before becoming Washington's first-round pick and playing in Pittsburgh. And then the rest of the tweet continued.
Why does it matter where he played or where he was picked?
Exactly. That's the point, is that his death has nothing to do with his play or his level of play in the NFL, those two things are absolutely absolved from one another, and there's no reason to be included in the same sense. And that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. And, I mean, you guys had to listen to me for a couple of days be absolutely unbearable about the topic because I'm very passionate in this field. And seeing that from somebody who is regarded at the best in their field as being an insider, he even does a lot of reporting, a lot of other type of news, as seeing someone who's regarded at the top of their field to have a slip-up of that magnitude.
It's not even a slip-up, though.
And then,
like, he wouldn't have. If nobody said anything, that tweet would still be.
He might have kept it.
Yeah.
He might have kept it. And that's what I'm saying. That was up there for so long. And we didn't actually get an apology until days later.
On his podcast, by the way. Hey, listen to my apology that I have on my podcast that millions of people watch.
Exactly. And you know why? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and trash Adam Schefter for an hour, although I could. I most definitely could. But my problem with that, and like you said, is the podcast is not the platform to do something
That's
like
what I'm saying. You know?
And when you look on Twitter and you see there's no face. He didn't have his face in the video. It was just a soundbite from his podcast. And so when you go on Twitter and you see this image and it says the Adam Schefter podcast, blah, 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 and it's blowing up, obviously, because of the controversy that has surrounded this topic, what you need to do is sit down. You don't need any high-tech equipment. You don't need anything. You sit down with your phone, you put it on your face, and you speak some heart-spoken words that come, as it would sound, implied, from the heart. I think that's all you need to do in that situation. Now, the problem that I have with the podcast thing is, one, is a self-promotion, but two, is that you hear him read that, and it's very blatantly obvious to me that he's reading from a script. And that somebody from his PR team has written a script for him, and I believe that's why he didn't want to show his face. That's my opinion. I have no idea if that's truth or fact, but that, to me, was very upsetting from him.
I wish like NFL Network, right when it happened, when you heard the news about Haskins, like Ty said about Gil Brandt or whatever, however you say his name, they immediately started talking about his football life. Like, before he was a football player, that kid was a kid just like everyone else growing up, and he has a family, and he has. Think about what if, Kobe, I'm just saying hypothetically, if one of us happened to us and our parents saw that tweet on Twitter, what like that's the thing I thought about immediately. I thought about his family. I say, I mean, could never have
he's
that.
24. That's not ridiculous to think that.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's not ridiculous to even make that comparison. Like, you say that, it's not even ridiculous to make that comparison. We've got guys on our team that are older than that. Shoot, we had Yale Van Dyne, our wide receiver, just last year was 26, going on 27. Like, we are around guys every day that are that age, and being around guys of that age, we know that, you may not have everything figured out. Like, guaranteed you do not have everything figured out.
Nope.
And you have so much more life ahead of you. Like, you're really just getting started. And to see that from that guy, and you saw all the players that came out in support of him, he seemed, he's made his mistakes before, right? He has made mistakes. He broke COVID protocol and went to, like, a strip club in the middle of their season. Like, he was celebrating on the sideline when he got his first career win. Like, there are mistakes, but like I said, that has nothing to do with his life, like, in full perspective. So for a guy like him, he seemed to make everyone around him smile.
He didn't die playing football.
No, he did not. And that's why it should be held completely in a separate regard. But you hear all these guys that talk about him, and he seemed to just make everybody smile around him. Yeah. And that, I think, is a much more important legacy to leave behind than struggling to catch on with two NFL franchises.
I think it's a major problem with just sports media as a whole.
Yeah.
And you're not wrong.
Like, when you hear certain figures, the way they talk about people and the way they attack certain people, I think and then when something like that happens, then everybody wants to be sympathetic, when all you could hear, 2 years ago was everybody saying how terrible he is at this.
Yep.
How he shouldn't have been this, he shouldn't have been that. And when he passed, and rightfully so, you show your respect.
Flip the script, yeah.
But it just goes to show the problem that we have with sports media. Like, they'll talk reckless about anybody. Like, okay, for example, Frank Vogel coached his final game for the Lakers. 10 minutes after the game, it's reports all over Twitter, he's going to be fired tomorrow.
And he didn't even know.
He can't even hear that from the front office. He has to find out through the internet and in a press conference after the game. And and you ruin moments like that for somebody. And that's just a lack of empathy for others and a lack of care. Like, when players find out they've been traded from Twitter, it's just
it's awful. No,
it's a lack of respect.
It's awful.
Sports media as a whole, to me.
And not even to mention, this guy was a husband, right? He had a wife, and I'm assuming they were going to have a family sometime down the line. That obviously is not going to happen anymore. And for me, something that above all else speaks volumes for his character is that he was a guy that was endorsed by Mike Tomlin. And Tomlin, I think, is regarded as having one of the highest and best judgment of character of anybody in the National Football League. I think he's very highly regarded for that. And he said that, quote, "I'm devastated and at a loss for words for the unfortunate passing of Dwayne Haskins. He quickly became part of our Steelers family upon his arrival in Pittsburgh and was one of our hardest workers both on the field and in the community." He says, "Dwayne was a great teammate, but even more so a tremendous friend to so many. I'm truly heartbroken."
I love that.
And like I said, that to me is the much more everlasting, impact of what he's done to that organization and just to the league in general.
The only people who had something bad to say were the people who didn't know him.
Exactly.
When you look at
That's
people who knew
that's
him,
powerful. You're right.
all you heard was just great things about him. The only
totally
people
right.
who had said something crazy were the people who didn't know him.
You're totally right. And so I just, not to start this pod on more of a somber note, but I think that needs to happen every once in a while, and you can't just ignore news like this. And I, for one, have been waiting to get on here and at least just talk about this because, I would just say this is my platform as much as it is you guys to speak about things that we're passionate about. And I think this is very important space to respect that type of news just like we respect anything else.
100%.
Like we'll go on to talk about some BS story about whether or not Tom Brady did this or a signing, but like this for me was something that we needed to get out of the way, and not to get out of the way, it's the wrong way to say it, but to lead with and to talk about first. So I appreciate you guys for that. And I, to circle back around, I didn't even mention the Gil Brandt thing. You kind of hinted at it. Not only is he a Hall of Famer, he's in the Cowboys Ring of Honor or like something, whatever it is.
Makes sense.
And he had said that he was a man, quote, that was living to die, in a sense. And to hear something that insensitive from somebody who is that highly regarded in the football world is just tragic, and it is very disappointing. And he also released an apology, but again, you can only do so much in that situation.
The thing with me in that is right when I heard it, and you can't take words back. Once they're out there, they're always out there. I was like, first of all, what? I'm pretty sure Gil or whatever, he's pushing 90 years old.
Oh yeah,
he is.
So
90.
if you're in his corner and on his team, why the hell are you putting a mic in front of his mouth? He probably doesn't even remember what he had for lunch yesterday.
Oh jeez.
Like that's what I'm like. At that point, it's like, it's terrible what they're saying. You know what I mean? But he might. I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying another perspective.
No, I understand.
If you're in his team or a family member or something, you keep him completely out of this. He has nothing to do with that.
And from now on, I think your wish will be definitely made true because there's no way that guy gets back in front of a microphone if it's not to make an apology. Other than that, I don't think he has any chance being back on there. And, like you had said, Ty, the quote that you had brought up initially, besides the living to be dead quote, is that, quote, maybe if he stayed in school a year, he wouldn't do silly things.
Like he was what?
Like that had anything to do with the fact that he had just passed away.
Like that's what I mean. It's a lack of empathy for athletes.
It's hard to swallow, man, when you have words like that, and he spoke them with such confidence and such purpose that that was not like, there's no way of weaseling your way out of that. Nope. There's absolutely no way. And that should be absolutely condemned from the media world, and I hope that, consequences will be brought down on him. I have not seen anything update-wise as far as the consequences of those guys, but hopefully in the near future we will have some type of clarity, on that situation. But moving on from that, I talked about the importance of that. We can go on a little bit of a lighter note here as we finish out.
Rip Simba.
Before
we get out of here.
There you go.
Rip
Rest
Simba,
in peace
man.
to Dwayne Haskins. Seriously. But go over to Tom Brady, another quarterback in the NFL. Hard to, there's no great transition out of that one.
No.
There's no great transition. But we move on because, that's what you have to do in situations like that, and his friends and family are learning that right now as well. But Tom Brady, these reports have been circling right now. Whether or not it's just because the NFL is in a very slow news period right now has yet to be determined. But the reports are saying that after retiring, Brady's plan was to become a minority owner, of the Miami Dolphins, help run the front office, and play for the team under who? Do you guys know?
Brian Flores.
Nope.
Belichick?
Nope. Who's a coach that had just recently retired?
Sean Payton.
Sean Payton.
That's so many, like,
supposedly that was the I know, and supposedly that was the plan, but this has like been reported by so many different sources that this actually had some type of fruition to it. So the same day as he retired, former Miami coach Brian Flores sued the NFL, the Broncos, Giants, and Dolphins for, quote, racism in hiring. Right? And that goes against, kind of with like the Rooney rule. I don't know how much you guys know about that as far as interviewing and hiring minority coaches.
Yeah.
This reportedly threw off Brady's plan. What I like you said, go ahead, kid. I see the smirk. What do we think about this?
It's just one of those things where you got a big name, you're just gonna throw a bunch of crap out there, and people bite onto it because it's Tom Brady.
Think so?
When, come on, like
minority owner and a player.
Like that's
This
like
is
saying,
not the 60s.
Ty, listen to me here. That's like saying if the Lakers got Buddy Hield this year instead of Russell Westbrook, they go to the finals. Because they got this, and that. Because this is going to work, this is going to work, this is going to work. LeBron's going to play 82 games. He's going to average 40 points a game.
And then, like, it's flawed because they say that after they get Tyreek Hill, da-da-da.
Yeah.
Nobody was looking at the Dolphins like, oh, they're a contender.
Yep.
At the end of the season.
Very true. Not at that point in time, they were not. Most definitely. But I will say there's some, to go back to go ahead.
I did hear that he wanted to go play for the Dolphins. I did hear that,
Okay.
and that's believable.
Yeah.
But minority owner
Front
and help in the
office.
front office and play quarterback for an NFL front.
I'm with you.
And then
it's a
go
stretch.
home and kiss your kids in the lips at night.
And go win an 8th Super Bowl.
That's a lot of things to focus on.
But on the Brian Flores thing, obviously that's a very real situation that's going to be handled over the coming months or maybe years in court. We don't know how long that could take.
It's going to be a while.
What we do know is that the NFL is strapped when it comes to the court.
I was going to say, they got money. That's going to be a while.
Yeah. So hopefully Brian Flores can hold up to that. Now, the complaint from him was that he had landed multiple interviews for head coaching positions, deservedly so. He's a very accomplished coach in the league, but soon figured out they were shams, is what he said. And he says that these incidents made him believe that the interviews were so that teams could be in compliance with the Rooney Rule that I was talking about. It's nearly 20-year-old NFL policy that requires the teams to interview minority candidates for head coaching positions. Right? So he's saying that these NFL teams are bringing in African-American, Asian, Filipino, whatever type of coaches that there are. They're bringing these coaches in just to say, oh, yeah, like we did our due diligence. We checked out these guys. Where in the back of their head, they're like, yeah, we're bringing in this guy. Like
I just
the whole
talked about
time.
this
The whole
recently in
time.
class.
You did.
In one of my PR classes.
You get a decent grade on it?
Stop playing. We was in class, and I was basically talking about the Rooney Rule. I can't think of how it was brought up.
Yeah.
It might have been diversity in sports, but it was just like,
I mean, that's direct. It's like textbook diversity in sports.
like you say in the NFL, the Rooney Rule, you have to interview minority coaches.
Yeah.
So teams are looking at like, we're gonna give them an interview just cause.
Yeah.
Versus like Michigan just hired a woman to be their quarterbacks coach. There's no Rooney Rule in the NCAA.
It's a GA, by the way.
They just hired a woman.
No, it's still huge.
And that's not like, basically what I was getting at is in the NFL, like those hires and stuff like that, it don't be genuine. It be, I won't say all of them because I feel like Mike Tomlin is a genuine hire. He's been there for a long time.
I mean, he's one of the winningest coaches, if not the winningest, in the last like 10 years. Right? Like he's
never had a losing season.
I'm gonna say I'm pretty sure he has actually not had a losing season with Pittsburgh.
He's never had a losing season.
Nope.
So I say like
That speaks volumes, too.
most of those.
With some of the
interviews
rosters
and
he's
stuff,
had, how banged up that some of those teams have been.
He had Mason Rudolph playing quarterback for him at one point.
Unreal.
like a lot of them don't be genuine, and it be because they have to do it. And we was trying to like, it's not a solution to how you can make those hires genuine, like because you don't want to reward teams for hiring minority coaches.
But they did.
Yeah.
But they do though.
That's what I'm saying.
And it's messed up that
It
you
is.
got to do that.
Yeah.
But it's a weird space for sure.
I was just looking at Brian Flores' career stats, and I mean he's won 24 games the past his 3 years as head coach, 2019, 2020, 2021. Like, what's
solid coaching?
That's what I'm saying.
It's tough to do.
There's
That's
guys.
tough to do.
Think about our personal experience. We've had some clowns come through Detroit. Matt Patricia being the top guy on my list. Bob Quinn right there too with him. I would take Brian Flores.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat, and I'm happy with Dan Campbell. But if
Yeah.
Brian Flores comes to the front footstep last year and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be the head coach," or whatever, I'd have been happy as I'd be happy as hell.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I think like I'm not just saying like I definitely believe it. You see it every day. They're giving out draft picks for hiring minority coaches. You know what I mean? So there's got to be another side to that. They're doing that for some reason. You know
because
what I
they
mean?
don't think
Because-
the rule is working in the first
Exactly.
place, and they need some type of additional incentive.
So if anything, that strengthens Flores' case. If you're not even willing to hire me as the man I am, the coach I am, you have to give me picks
Yeah.
then what's the other side to this? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
you're right. I think you're right on it. Now, I will say though, as far as the situation is concerned in this story, be it very outlandish, you know, obviously I can see that myself, but this isn't the first time that this has been rumored to happen before.
and he's got guys on with him. Hugh Jackson.
Yeah. No, very true. But I'm going on the quarterback more so side of this thing. Peyton Manning, when he had made the big move and was moving on from the Colts, he had been reportedly in talks to be a part-time owner of several franchises. And that's someone like Peyton Manning in that prime right there, like when he was playing his best football, he was held in the regard that we hold Tom Brady right now. Right? Because Tom Brady had not occurred. You know what I mean? Like to the way that he
a guy
had.
like that, you know, like the guy.
Yeah. So I just say that because I actually don't think that somebody owning a team, being a minority owner, not owning the entire team, but being a minority owner, that I don't think is that idea specifically is not very outlandish to me. I think I could definitely see that happen. You see that happen in Fortune 500 companies. You see that happen in very large, corporations with this employee ownership type of style.
Yeah.
You see that happen all the time in the business world. And I think we talked about like when you can't pay them more when it comes to like a salary cap, right? What do you do for these guys? What do you do to additionally incentivize them? What do you do to make sure you land these big names? And I think that's something that you could actually use.
And I'll say this about the whole thing is if there were one guy to do it and it would be at one time to do it, think about everything that's crazy that's happened in our generation. It'd be Tom Brady to do it.
Oh, 100%.
And you guys, everyone that's close to me, everyone that's talked football with me knows that I absolutely hate Tom Brady. I'm not a fan. I can't watch him play football. It makes me very angry. People say I'm a hater, but it's just my personal opinion. But I will say if it's one guy to do it in the NFL at this time, it'd be Tom Brady.
100%.
After retiring from the Chicago Bulls in early 1999,
there you go.
Michael Jordan became the Washington Wizards vice president of basketball operations, as well as a minority owner in January 2000.
Great point.
And he went and played.
And that was in 2000.
Yeah, that was in 2000.
This has been around.
But listen,
we just haven't really seen it in the football world.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Not to steal your thunder, bro.
Hot spot.
Oh, yeah. You're good.
Football is a entirely different, like, animal. Because to me, I feel like you can probably sit up. Like, LeBron probably sits in the front office every day, you know?
Yeah.
And get stuff done.
He probably does.
Lead
and,
GM.
You know, people joke about that, but I do strongly believe that he probably has some type of influence, a decent amount, I'd say.
And I feel like that's easy because really basketball, you construct on the team and then they go out there and hoop. Football, completely different animal.
You're telling me if the Lakers, like, if you were me to go coach the Lakers right now, Ty, it would really have any effect on that team, on that roster?
I could go coach the Lakers to the playoffs.
Thank you.
You could go coach the Lakers to
I
the
could
playoffs?
go coach the Lakers to the playoffs.
Seriously.
You really believe so?
I promise you because I wouldn't have to coach because LeBron would.
It's not even about that. It's just having
just
a
gotta
face.
go hoop.
It's just having a face. And it's
That's what being a coach in like the NBA. Just the players have to go put the ball in the basket.
Is Frank Vogel dropping 25, 6, and 6 a night?
No.
Exactly.
That's LeBron handing people 50 every night.
Stan Van Gundy, he ain't hooping.
You better hope not.
Yeah.
He got some handles.
Man, I ain't trying to hear that.
On his mustache.
That sounds good, actually. That was pretty good.
So, like, Brady being the quarterback and working in the front office.
That's a lot, man.
Nah, it was no way. Nah.
All right. No, that's fair. I'm with you.
I don't buy it.
Hey, it's something worth talking about. I enjoyed talking about it.
It got our attention.
It did. Hey, we had a good little talk about it. But otherwise, on the other side of the NFL, Colts land the Pro Bowl corner, Stephon Gilmore. The deal is worth $23 million over 2 years. And, I kind of alluded to it at the early parts of this podcast. Gilmore, he's not the same player that we saw terrorizing quarterbacks in 2019. That's the year that he won that Defensive Player of the Year. But he still can be a big addition to that Indianapolis team, I think. And his passer rating, let-up numbers, and other things have definitely decreased, or I guess technically increased, since then. We'll talk about a few of those, but what do you think about them adding Gilmore? That's a team that really believes they're in a spot right now. Not like in a couple years or that their window has passed, but right now they think they're a Super Bowl team. Right? They bring on Matt Ryan. They already have a ton of pieces offensively, especially defensively. They think they're a Super Bowl contender right now.
I feel like because the Colts had one of the top defenses last year.
Yeah.
And then you pick up one of the – Gilmore's a top 10 corner in the NFL.
I would 100% agree with 100%.
that. Pick up a top 10 corner. You got one of the best linebackers in Darius Leonard. You got the best slot corner in Kenny Moore. The best interior lineman, the second best.
Forrest Buckner.
Yeah.
Behind Aaron. I was about to say that, but you got yourself. You good.
Heather lock in, my bad. So you got pieces on that defense.
You say Darius Leonard?
Yeah, Darius Leonard, one of the best linebackers.
Yep,
This is a thing that stands out to me for this Panther secondary, especially, is that he's
Colts.
Sorry, I was thinking Stephon Gilmore. Panthers.
Yeah, no, that's right. He came from Carolina, so
this is an experienced guy. I mean, he's been a defensive back in the league for what 10 to 11 years now.
Close to
talking
that,
talking about a guy who won Defensive Player of the Year 2-3 years ago. And
3.
And how old is he? You think 33?
31.
31.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty close. But it's not like defense.
He still got gas in the
defensive back's a hard position to play. It's one of the hardest, especially corner. Probably
especially
the hardest.
31.
Probably the hardest. And he'll go against the top guy every Sunday. So I mean,
that's what they're paying him to do.
That I told you earlier, that Matt Ryan deal I think is going to be sneaky. The best free agent, best free agent or trade or whatever of the offseason. I really do. I think Matt Ryan's a perfect fit for that.
You don't think it's going to be Carson Wentz 2.0 all over again over in Indy?
I don't know. I think Matt Ryan's he's more proven. He's sat in that same.
You know what Jimmy would say right now? What would Jimmy say right now if you're talking about Matt Ryan?
Come on, man. You should have sort of spirally through against the Saints in Week 16. That spirally threw down the sideline.
No, he'd say Matt Ryan won MVP, man.
Yeah,
he won MVP.
He would say that.
He won MVP
in 2016.
Respect. I mean,
that's what it is, though. I agree with Jimmy there. We miss Jim for those. It'd be great to have all of us.
They got a great offensive line. They got a guy who is a certified sit in the pocket, protect me, and let me just air it out. Not air it out, but make smart throws.
Matt Ryan to get it done.
No, I think
100%.
he will. But talking about Gilmore, his coverage stats from his 2019 DPOY season. So looking at right now, he allowed a 49% completion percentage. He only allowed 1 touchdown that year, had 6 picks. His passer rating was 47.4 when throwing to him. That is crazy.
You know what that is?
That is unreal.
That's an island.
That is an island. I think that's textbook. Now, going on the 2020 to 2021 season, he allowed a 65.6% completion percentage, so definitely up. 4 touchdowns. He only had 3 interceptions. The passer rating went up to 91.2. That's a tough number. But like you said, still Pro Bowl.
How many games
still
did he play?
Pro Bowl, only 8 games.
Yeah. So think about the completion percentage. He's got less throws on a lower scale game. So that explains the completion percentage.
Okay.
But the touchdowns, I don't know.
That's just lighting up touchdowns. It's hard to, that's a lot of that is situational based too. Yep. Like where was he used in certain situations in New England compared to in Carolina, and what teams are they playing? Obviously in different divisions too. So that has a big piece to play.
I'm sure if we were to go look at those 4 touchdowns, we wouldn't be like, oh God, he got burnt. You know what I mean? Like
no, exactly. So that'd be interesting to look at. Actually, I haven't done my research that extensively and that thoroughly, but that'd be pretty interesting. But I think. Those guys are in a position to be very good. And you look at the rest of their, their division. The Titans. The Titans are still going to be good, but they just don't seem to have what it takes to crack their full potential.
I definitely think
the Colts will have arguably, on paper, the best defense in that division. And I'm a big defensive guy. Defense wins championships. I say the Colts win the division this year, and they make a little push. I don't know. Matt Ryan, he's been there. I'm liking this Colts team now.
I'm not take a step back.
I'm not a Wentz fan, dude. When Wentz is back there, I just he just.
Wentz is like Trubisky. Yeah. Every pass he throw, you don't know if it's going to land in the parking lot.
You don't know which Wentz or Trubisky you're getting.
You don't know who the ball is going to.
And Wentz, he's a great guy. He can't. It's a good locker room guy probably, but
sure he's a great guy.
Yeah.
When it came to throwing that rock around. Y'all thought Jared Goff was bad.
Oh, that's my QB1 right there.
Every time Trubisky dropped back, it was literally a prayer. Like, I didn't know where the ball was going. And more times than not, it landed in the opposing team's hands.
That's good. But a prayer of mine that has been answered, Ty. You know what that is this weekend that's coming?
What, the USFL?
The USFL, Ty. We rolling.
Yeah, Michigan Panthers.
The Michigan Panthers, man.
Jeff Fisher, baby.
I am excited for this. Week 1 is here. The games start today, I would assume, as you're listening to this on Saturday on Fox and NBC. There'll be a simulcast. You can also watch the games live on Peacock. I'm not sponsored by them. Nothing.
He just love it.
I'm just excited, man.
I'm just excited.
I am excited for this. I'm excited for the production opportunities that these entail. Week 1, we're opening up New Jersey Generals versus Birmingham Stallions. That's the only game on Saturday. It's at 7:30. Then you've got 3 games on Sunday at noon, 4, and 8 o'clock. Michigan plays at noon. They play the Houston Gamblers at Sunday at noon. So I will be tuning in for that one for sure. Jeff Fisher, former, Ram coach, and where else was he?
Well, he was on the Rams for a while.
He's at Hard Knocks, right?
He was
Didn't
St. Louis.
Did he get fired on Hard Knocks?
From the Rams?
I believe he did.
I want to say he got fired, almost like he had to announce to his team that he got fired on Hard Knocks.
I think he had a stint with the Falcons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't remember the second team.
But I know he was a
It's
St.
either the Falcons or the Raiders, Ty.
When they were with St. Louis, right? The Rams.
Yeah,
when they
he
were
was.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
But on that USFL, on those games, I'm just interested to see how I don't know how to put this, like how Vegas deals with it. You know what I mean? How big is this thing gonna be? How really big is this gonna be? I guess we don't know until you see the viewership. But I think this thing is awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, you'll see I've thrown it up on the screen over here, is that the views we're going to have in these USFL games. This one right here you'll see is a helmet cam. I've got it up in the studio right now. They're going to have 2 of these on each team for each of the games. 2 cameras in the helmets. How sweet is that? Just watching that right now.
Yeah.
How sweet is that?
I promise you, it for all the people, because I know it's people who've never played football.
Does it make sense in a broadcast? Maybe no, but
who've never played football. Football does not look like that. Through a helmet, that is not football does not look like that.
Hey, it looks like All-American. Looks like an All-American scene.
You think so?
Yeah.
Football does not look like that through a helmet. I think it's cool though, because it offers a different perspective, and you see football. I'm fighting and I'm losing.
You good,
It
brother?
looks like Asher Andrews, an All-American.
You good, brother?
You feel me? Football don't look like that. But I think it's pretty cool though, because it offered the broadcast. That's something the NFL would never do.
Exactly.
No, they won't.
You'll never get that from the NFL,
They
college
never
football,
would.
stuff like that. And that's what the USFL got to do.
They got to take advantage of it.
Exactly. I think, making those strides to be different is where it's going to be huge. There's going to be 16 guys mic'd up in each game. Where I was talking,
that's going to be wild.
that is absolutely wild. How do you even? I don't even know.
Let's
That's
go
an
to Troy
absurd
Evans
number.
on the defense.
16?
16 total.
How can you differentiate the good quality audio?
I have no idea.
I was gonna
You
say
got
how
mics bumping into each other the whole
I'm
game?
struggling. I don't know. You guys can see a little bit of my setup over here. You should have seen me during the interview. I'm over here hitting the cameras and the audio and making sure everything. My heart is beating at a million things a second. I can only imagine whoever the hell is in charge of their production for the USFL is going to be shitting
Highlight
bricks.
Higgy, baby.
He's going to be shitting bricks. He ain't doing that.
Shout out Highlight Higgy, man.
He behind the camera. He ain't doing any of
I'm
that.
gonna tag him on Twitter just right now so you can see it.
You can do that, and
Yep.
hey, shout out to him because that's an awesome opportunity for him. But I tell you where he
No,
does
he
not
ain't
want to
doing-
be
yeah, he ain't
is in
doing
the
that.
booth trying to monitor
Have you seen
16
some of his
audio
stuff, though?
levels. Oh, he's fantastic.
His stuff's been
Yeah,
pretty cool.
from
lately.
one creative guy to another, he does
Yeah.
very well. He does really good work, and I've seen him
He's a good dude too.
work with a lot of athletes at our level, which has been really fun to see.
Yeah.
Would love
16
to
people is-
get him on sometime and talk about
Oh,
his
yeah.
experience there. That'd be great.
16 people is too much.
We'll see, man.
All you need is
We gonna see.
2, maybe
Two-
3.
Maybe 3, yeah.
But
16?
bro, talk about how else, and what a better way to differentiate yourself from the league than to change the broadcast, to change the production. They're changing the game a little bit. We talked about different rules, talked about different extra points and kickoffs and overtime and all these other ways that they're changing the game. But this one, guys, I'm going to show you one right here that I've got up on the TV. This one is way cooler. This is an FPV drone, and this is another view they're going to be bringing to the game. Watch this kickoff. Up in the air, over the return team, swings around.
That was a terrible kick, but
It wasn't.
These are paid actors, bro.
I hope so.
Oh my goodness! But look at that. You can't lie. That is kind of sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
they only
pretty
do it
sweet.
like a couple of times a game.
I hope that. No, that's not going to be. That is going to be a very specialty type camera angle. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure that's exactly how they're going to use that.
I would
Todd.
hate for that drone to die like mid play.
Could you imagine? That would be chaos.
Here he goes, 20,
Just
30, and he trips in the drone.
But dude, coming from someone who is, not the 2 mile horn, but I'm a certified
Yeah, you're a
drone
drone-
pilot. I got
yeah.
the license. I have an
Yeah.
FPV drone,
You
so
should hang it up
know.
in here.
seeing that's pretty cool. I might have to now since I started using it.
Yeah.
But just seeing that for me is so cool and so interesting. And also it's bringing in those guys, because that's money too. Because you got to bring in drone pilots, you got to bring in spotters, you got to bring in a whole crew, another part of the crew.
Yep.
I think the only reason they're able to do this is because, like I said, they're only in one host city, which is Birmingham, Alabama. If
They
you
can-
had all these pop-up, trying to get all these teams situated excuse me, I'm fighting, I'm losing over here too.
See?
If you had all these teams in different cities across the country, you would not, in no way in hell, be able to afford all of this extra production. But the fact they're doing it in one host city, I think, has allowed them to be very creative with it. And at first, I was very critical, I would admit. I was very critical of the one host city. Now, seeing all of this, I haven't seen any games played yet. I think it was a very smart decision because it allowed them to not handicap their creativity and to change the way the game is not only played, but also presented.
100%.
Which is huge.
So they probably are literally going on the NFL checklist and just being like,
how can we do
the opposite of this, do the opposite of that, let's do this. I mean, think about it. It's one of those leagues where you're like, you can't really get too bought in. Like,
no, it's hard to because there's nothing really at stake.
If the Panthers go to the USFL championship and they lose, I'll be pissed. Like, like just in general. But I'm just saying, like, if they don't make the playoffs, I'm not gonna sweat it. Like, it's just.
I'll be getting some gear though.
Oh yeah, I'll get a hat.
I'll be getting some gear.
Get a hat, sweatshirt.
Might have to do a little. Maybe do a little giveaway or something.
Only thing I can say,
Think about that.
they could have chose a better host city.
Really?
Birmingham,
Alabama.
Alabama is just a weird state.
It had to do with availability of stadiums and other amenities, but I'm not 100% sure what that choice came down to.
They could have went to like Georgia or something.
They could have.
I feel like that'd be more
Georgia,
lively. Be more
Florida,
lively.
Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
They had probably they had ate that up in Texas. They had ate that up in Texas. Tell me I'm lying right now.
No, you ain't.
They had ate the USFL up in Texas. They could have played at one of them high school stadiums that sit 50,000 people. They sold it out every week.
Remember they played the D2 national championship at McKinney ISD
A high school stadium.
It was basically a high school stadium. Yeah.
Dadgummit, the Gamblers lost again.
Those dang Panthers then sold us again, Jimmy.
We're gonna see if the Houston following, that Gamblers following, is as devoted as you crack them out to be.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, if they had sent it to Texas, bro, it'd look like Bedlam every week. Wow, that's a sold out stadium. Didn't they just play in Texas last week? Yeah, this team Michigan versus Team Illinois this week, honey. Man.
They must be doing pretty well. They're selling seats.
So tickets for these USFL games, guess how much they cost?
15.
10.
Smart as
you
hell.
trying to tell me they want to sold out in Texas every week?
$10 and kids get in free.
All day football, $10.
Spring football for $10. Go in and, I'm not of age, but if you are, go in, have a few drinks responsibly, and just enjoy the game. I mean, that sounds awesome.
Close went out in the fourth.
Exactly.
Kobe, it'd have blew up.
Great.
The NFL would have bought them this year after one season in Texas. They'd have bought them after 1 year. Yeah, we liking this. They moving too fast though. We gonna shut this down early.
Yeah, we can't be having any of this. We're gonna be out of business.
Man.
We keep allowing this. We keep allowing this to happen. We ain't gonna be in business no more. We gotta shut this shit down from the roots.
Hell damn, Jimmy. The USFL boys then sold out 3 weeks in a row.
Now,
by
for those
week 3.
listening who don't know, the USFL was around before, right? They call this the inaugural season. The USFL, their downfall initially, you know what that was? Trying to take over the NFL. They went through this whole series of lawsuits, and there's a very long story about it, but basically, they technically won the lawsuit. I use air quotes here if you're listening on one of the platforms, but they got $1 in the lawsuit. They won $1 because they were suing the NFL for being a monopoly, which everyone knows to be true, but knowing something to be true and proving it in a court of law are two very different things.
Yep.
And when you're the NFL, we talked about them being strapped with lawyers before, they know how to defend themselves.
Well, I had a great talk about this with Coach Kirby, actually,
Did
in
you?
my exit interview. We sat there for like 30 minutes, and he explained to me USFL and how it was around during his time, the first real season of the USFL.
What did they say?
And he was just talking about how they actually did a really good job of getting scouts and like area scouts out to the places that he was at, because back then, Northern was the first place NFL scouts used to come, like through the trip, because we had, at the time when he was here, I don't remember what year it was, we had probably 6 guys in the NFL.
Yeah.
So after the pipeline kind of died down, and that USFL came in, and they started sending more guys up to our area in the UP or whatever.
That'd be sweet, yeah. That's sweet.
And so he was kind of saying how he loves it because it's just another opportunity.
You know what I just noticed looking at the cameras on here? With your hair like that, you actually can't see your eyes from the camera view.
He like
it's so funny.
He like Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3 when he got the symbiote suit and he went through that whole little life crisis.
Look at me, you can't Your hair is covered. It's not as bad. Nah, you had it.
I was gonna put my hair up like over it, but I feel like I look like a weirdo with my hair going like that.
Like a headband. Use the headset as a headband.
I'm just
Like
gonna
Shaggy
start.
Rogers.
I'm just gonna wear my do rag next time, like Ty. And
Should we all show up in ski masks for the next episode just in
like,
honor of
brrr.
Ty?
Come on, I'll pull up in my ski again.
We got the cameras on now. I'm telling
I
you, this
slept in
man,
my ski mask
this
last
man is in
night.
a ski mask for every episode, usually with the fitted Yankee cap. And we get the cameras on.
Stop
Now he's trying to
playing.
look. Now he's trying to look pretty for the
I gotta show
podcast.
my face and look pretty,
Now
man.
he's trying to look pretty. No ski mask, no fitted. You got the puffers off, the jacket. I put the heat on in here today. You appreciate that?
See, I got my Nike tech
You
on,
got the I
man.
knew you didn't have the tech
With
on.
the slippers, man. You know, we big in the hospital socks too. These are socks they gave me after. These are socks they gave me after my surgery. When I'm feeling cozy, I throw them
you
on.
serious?
They comfy as hell.
What?
Those are this legit. Where they got those from?
Cole, real deal, Cole. Stop playing. I'm locked in. When I'm feeling cozy, I throw the hospital joints on.
I seen you at Quan's
Nike
earlier in
tech.
that crisscross applesauce.
Quan was at my crib.
Hey, Quan need to get me on that private story. What's up with that?
Yeah?
Quan, I ain't on Quan's private story. What's up with that?
Hell, I'll give him an impromptu call right now.
No, that's right. We'll wrap the podcast first, and we can talk to Quan after that.
I don't want to tell him straight to his
but
face.
shut.
My bad, bro. I didn't know you even like stuff like that, bro.
But that's all we've got for today's episode, fellas. Unless you got anything to add, I think that's a good place to end it off. I feel like, we're at 40 minutes of just us talking. We blew through that, and it's
Yeah,
been
for sure.
fun. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed
it's
seeing us talk about all this stuff and banter and laugh about all these great topics. But as usual, watch us on YouTube. We got a new episode coming out every week with more guests on every week. Thank you, Ty. Thank you, Cade, for coming on for this episode. Jimmy, we missed you for this one. He'll be back. He'll be back. He'll be missed. But like I said, you can watch us on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow us on Twitter at D1 Rejects, on Instagram at Division 1 Rejects. Thank you all. Have a very great weekend, and go watch some USFL.